Okay, so if you've ever spent some time reading the Bible, you've probably noticed something a little confusing. God's people get called a few different things, right? Sometimes they're Hebrews, sometimes Israelites, and other times Jews. And you might be sitting there thinking, wait, what's the difference? Are these different people?
And you know what? If you've ever felt a little mixed up by that, that is totally okay. It's a really common question, and honestly, we're going to clear it all up right now. It's easier than you think.
So let's start with the most important thing you need to know. Here it is. When the Bible says Hebrew, Israelite, or Jew, it is talking about the exact same group of people. Think of it like one big, amazing family that just happens to have a few different names.
So how in the world are we supposed to keep all this straight? Well, I've got a really easy way to think about it. Let's use a little analogy. Just think about yourself or one of your friends. You have a first name, a last name, and maybe even a special nickname, right? Well, these three names from the Bible work almost exactly the same way.
So here's our game plan. We're going to look at these names just like that. A first name, a last name, and a nickname. Let's break it down and see which name fits where.
All right, let's start at the beginning with the name Hebrew. For our little trick, we're going to think of this one as the family's first name.
Hebrew is actually the oldest name of all. It was like the original name given to Abraham and his family. And what it means is so cool. It means the people who crossed over the river. That makes perfect sense because at the very beginning of their story, that's exactly what they were, travelers on a journey with God. And just look at this. This is what the word Hebrew actually looks like written in the Hebrew language. It's a direct link, visually, to the very first name God's people were known by. Pretty cool, huh?
Okay, moving on. If Hebrew was the first name, what's next? Well, that would be the family name, or the last name, and that name is Israelite.
So why Israelite? It's actually a really simple story. Abraham's grandson, Jacob, got a new name from God. He was renamed Israel. So it makes sense that all of his kids and his kids' kids, the whole big family, became known as the children of Israel, or, you got it, Israelites. It literally became their family name.
And that brings us to our third and final name. We've had the first name and the last name, so what's left? The nickname, of course, and the nickname is Jew.
Now, this nickname Jew came along a little later in the story. It's basically a shorter way of saying Judah, which was one of the 12 tribes, and a really important one at that. Over time, that nickname kind of stuck, and people started using it to talk about the whole family.
And here's where it gets really important for us. Jesus himself was from that very same tribe, the tribe of Judah. That's why he was known as a Jew. It connects him directly to this big, wonderful family story.
Okay, let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together. The main thing to remember is this. It's one family with three different names that show up at different times in their story.
This little chart makes it super clear. We've got Hebrew for the travelers, that's our first name, then Israelite for the whole family, that's our last name, and finally Jew from the tribe of Judah, that's the nickname. See? First name, last name, nickname. It's all one story.
So let's just say it one more time so it really sinks in. Hebrew, Israelite, and Jew all refer to the exact same family of God's people. It's all part of the one incredible story that God has been writing since the very beginning.
And that leaves us with a really great question to think about. Now that we know their whole story, all three of their names, how does that help us understand God's big, amazing family today? You know, the family that includes all of us. It's something pretty awesome to think about. Thanks so much for figuring this all out with me.